You're listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast. Today is Tuesday, July 21st. Leaders of Greater Love Tabernacle Church in Detroit, Michigan, say daily prayer prevented an even worse outcome after 5 people were shot outside their building during a funeral service last Friday, and all victims survived. The shooting happened around 5:45 p.m. on Plymouth Road as mourners gathered for a young man killed in a car accident. In a statement, the congregation, led by Bishop Michael Hill Sr. and his wife, Pearl Hill, said, "We have been praying every day at noon and sincerely believe God's covering interceded what could have been worse." Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison said officers were monitoring the event after being alerted to a threat. When a suspect pulled a handgun during a fight and shot 4 people, an officer returned fire, wounding him. "Our officer is absolutely a hero," Bettison said. Mayor Mary Sheffield confirmed all victims are expected to survive. Vice President J.D. Vance says the devil wants to convince Christians that faith and politics belong in separate rooms. In a wide-ranging interview with Bishop Robert Barron of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Winona-Rochester, tied to the release of his memoir, Communion: Finding My Way Back to Faith, Vance called for a more fully Christian politics that refuses to treat economic growth as an idol. Reflecting on the late Pope Francis, Vance praised his ability to force dialogue and defended his teachings against Marxist labels, calling that characterization an example of the devil being a deceiver. Vance argued that Jesus does not confine himself to little spheres of your life, insisting faith cannot be restricted to narrow little slices of society. He also warned Americans had made an idol out of the American corporation, stating the economy exists to serve the human person. Influencers Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are facing a wave of additional charges of rape, sex trafficking, assault, and extreme pornography connected to 4 additional victims. The brothers, who hold dual U.S.-British citizenship, appeared in Miami federal court Monday afternoon and are being held at a federal detention center following an extradition request from the United Kingdom. The UK's Crown Prosecution Service says the charges now involve 7 alleged victims, with offenses reportedly taking place between July 2010 and August 2017. Their attorney, Joseph McBride, claims they are in solitary confinement and being punished for daring to exercise their First Amendment rights. Meanwhile, Danny Pinter of the National Center on Sexual Exploitation praised authorities for courageously pursuing justice, adding that survivors are safer. A bond hearing is scheduled for next week. Archaeologists in Jerusalem have unearthed charred wooden beams believed to date back to Solomon's Temple, the first temple destroyed by the Babylonians in 586 BC. The Israel Antiquities Authority and Tel Aviv University made the discovery during an excavation at the Jerusalem Walls National Park in the city of David, where plaster melted from the temple's walls, sealed and preserved the wood for over 2.5 millennia. Excavation Director Efrat Bocher said, "The beams appear to have served as the roof of an inner courtyard in a building from the First Temple period," adding that the timing near Tisha B'Av makes it feel like witnessing the very moment of destruction. Archaeologist Johanna Regev noted the wood's numerous growth rings allow dating precision down to as little as 10 years. Heritage Minister Amichai Eliyahu called it a powerful reminder of the Jewish people's presence in Jerusalem some 2,600 years ago. Spain's triumph over Argentina in the 2026 FIFA World Cup final delivered far more than a sporting spectacle, as the event at New York's MetLife Stadium became a platform for bold declarations of Christian faith. During the halftime show, Canadian singer Justin Bieber surprised millions with an intimate acoustic performance of the hymn Everything Hallelujah, a heartfelt moment reflecting his personal transformation and faith after years of public struggles, with lyrics recalling times when I was abandoned and alone. After the final whistle, Spain's midfielder Rodri, who was named the tournament's best player, seized the media spotlight to honor God. Holding the coveted trophy, he declared with conviction, "I am a Christian and I know that someone up there has helped us," acknowledging God's sovereignty over his career. A new report from the U.S.-based persecution watchdog International Christian Concern reveals that Christian congregations are growing in some of the world's most hostile countries, even as an estimated 380 million believers face persecution annually. The Global Persecution Index 2026 found the church expanding in places where worship can bring arrest, imprisonment, or death. Researchers wrote, despite mounting repression, Christianity continues to grow in unexpected places. Iran is cited as the most extreme case, with one of the fastest-growing Christian populations worldwide, sustained by house churches and online evangelism. Growth continues in China, India, North Korea, and elsewhere through underground networks. The report tracks 22 countries, with 13 designated countries of particular concern. In Nigeria, over 500 Christians were killed in the year ending July 2025. Researchers noted the flame of faith cannot be extinguished, even in the crucible of persecution. An Orthodox Christian church in Canada, destroyed 5 years ago in an arson attack, is set to be rebuilt. St. George Coptic Orthodox Church of Surrey, British Columbia, will hold a groundbreaking ceremony for its new building this Sunday, with members of Surrey's City Council, Parliament, and supporting clergy expected to attend. The church stated the new building will serve as a spiritual home for the St. George Coptic Orthodox community and future generations, adding, "We believe that St. George Coptic George Church will rise again, restored, renewed, and strengthened for generations to come." The fire, set in July 2021, occurred amid a wave of church arsons following reports of mass graves at former residential schools. Kathleen Panic was found guilty and sentenced to 4 years in prison, though authorities concluded her actions weren't motivated by hate. Church board member Medhat El-Masri called it a senseless act. Thank you for listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast. We encourage you to follow the show in your podcast player of choice, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or third-party podcast players like Overcast and Pocket Casts. You can also download the Edifi app for free and listen to all the podcasts on the Edifi network by clicking the link in today's podcast show notes. We would also appreciate a 5-star rating in Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us reach a wider audience with the Christian Post Daily Podcast. You can also subscribe to our daily newsletter and get the top headlines delivered to your inbox by clicking that link in the show notes as well. Thank you again for listening to the Christian Post Daily Podcast.